Hey there guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to talk about the big fat lie that you're falling for in America number 3, and that is going to be dating, marriage, and relationships in the modern day in America in 2020. So what exactly am I talking about here? When I say dating, marriage, and relationships, I'm talking about the one that is stereotypically portrayed in the Western media, i.e. the American dream version of a proper relationship, marriage, starting a family, buying a house, having the white picket fence, all that we see in countless movies, in the media, etc., etc. So if you rewind in U.S. history, back to the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, you had a world in America, you had an environment where young men and women had gender roles, and men were very masculine, and men wanted to be masculine, and men did masculine things, and women were feminine, and women wanted to do feminine things, and women were nurturing, and they were doing what they were biologically and evolutionarily designed to do. You have 3 million years basically of human evolution that have, through those 3 million years, have dictated, perfectly designed men and women to act certain ways, do certain things, fill certain roles in society, in relationships, for successful relationships, successful societies, successful empires, successful economies, etc., etc. Now, if you look at the 1950s in America, it's probably the best time in America if we're talking about the economy, the GDP, the rate at which it was growing, how cheap it was, how easy it was to buy a brand new house, buy a brand new car, and find a nice, loving, nurturing, feminine wife, and have the nuclear family, have the monogamous relationship that everybody wants. I mean, that's the dream, right? In the 1950s, that was absolutely possible, and that's what many people did, and everything was great and fine and hunky-dory. But as the decades progressed on, we had second wave feminism, and then third wave feminism that started coming into play, and that was really the first domino that started the rest to fall, if we're talking about gender roles and where gender roles are currently compared to where they should be. Now, the gender roles that we have in society today, particularly America, are not what they were in the 1950s. As I just explained, gender roles are very, very important for successful families, successful relationships, and ultimately successful economies, societies, and or empires. So what you have today with third wave feminism and young females, millennial women especially, but certainly also Gen Xers, millennial women have been raised, they have been conditioned from their K through 12 up until now that they need to do everything in society that a man can do. They need to be equally strong as a man. They need to be equally as whatever, every aspect, every Everything that a man is capable of doing, women need to also be capable of doing. So obviously, if women can do everything that men can do, then there are no longer gender roles that need to be filled. It doesn't matter if you are a male or a female in millennial America. The wife could be the husband role. The husband could fill the wife role. This, according to the political left, and of course the leftist liberal media, is a good thing. And this is progressivism, and this is good for society. Of course, this is not good for society, unfortunately, and anyone who wants to argue with that point, I ask you to look at the current US economy, how it is, as opposed to how it was in the 50s. There's a big difference. You can't deny that. That's because, starting off, women today are more unhappy on average than they were during the Second World War. During the Second World War, when the world was at war, when life was really hard and scary, and times were very uncertain in the US, women, mysteriously enough, were happier than they are today. Because, of course, 3 million years of evolution cannot just be thrown out the window. That is your programming as a human being. That is 3 million years of evolving your gender roles, your masculinity or your femininity. Once you start throwing that out the window and you try to start mixing everything around, there's going to be dire repercussions, there's going to be dire consequences. And we are just now starting to see the beginnings of that. Society in America is beginning to decline. The US is in decline. Now, why is the economy not as good? Why has the growth of GDP declined? Why is that? That's because men now feel like they have no role in society. They feel like they have no use. There is no incentive for them to go out and do anything, because women are already doing it. Women are taking over everything. Young boys in K through 12 up until now have been conditioned the opposite of what girls have been taught. Boys K through 12 onward have been taught that men are stupid, men are useless, men have no place in society anymore, men need to worship women. It's cataclysmic. But the economy and gender roles aside, let's talk about dating. How is this going to affect your dating? Well, of course, a relationship without gender roles is not going to be a very long-lasting one, and it's not going to be a very rich, good, or enjoyable one. And of course, on top of that, as a result of the gender role crisis and third wave feminism, we now have a bunch of men my age and a bunch of women my age that are no longer masculine or feminine. You have women now that are so masculine that men are not attracted to them, and you have men that are so feminine that women are not attracted to them. Every woman, no matter who you are, unless you're lesbian, you want a masculine, strong, rugged man who's gonna rock your world. All of you. And every man wants a feminine woman. But when it comes to dating, I would definitely say that in the current day, millennial men have it worse than the women. And let me explain why. Women are, the majority of millennial women my age, are incredibly inflated. Their egos are incredibly inflated. because of course, as I touched on earlier, in K through 12 onward, they have been taught, they have been told that they are the most important gender in society. Okay, not only that, but if you are an attractive young woman in society, everybody's going to be worshiping you constantly. They're going to be kissing your ass. They're going to be inflating your ego. Okay, so this not only makes for an unpleasant person to deal with if you want to date an attractive woman, which most guys do. I mean, you know, most guys don't want to settle for fat, ugly slobs, right? Well, you run into the something called the hot, crazy complex, which is basically if you were attractive growing up, you got all these handouts, you got your ass kissed, you got out of things, you got out of trouble, you got what you wanted, you got men buying you things, you got all these things just because you're pretty, just because you're attractive. So of course, if we think about it in terms of a complex, because it is called the hot crazy complex, the more attractive a woman is, a young woman in modern day America, the more crazy they're going to be. Not only crazy because everyone has been kissing their asses their whole lives, but crazy because they are driven to insanity and disillusioned by the switching gender roles. An attractive young woman in today's society, to find one that is not crazy and to find one that is not a complete ego-inflated cunt is about as easy as finding a unicorn. They are that rare. So of course, if you have these young attractive women who are crazy, you know, they're psychologically they're crazy, they're immature, they throw tantrums, they don't admit when they're wrong, they don't face issues, you know, they don't do any of that. Surely they would grow up eventually, right? And yes, they do, but it usually takes them having a couple kids, or it takes them hitting the metaphorical wall. When I say hitting the wall, I mean that their beauty starts to decline, which of course in most women, after you have 1 or 2 kids and you know you start approaching your 30s, most women, they hit the wall. Their times of being physically beautiful are over, as opposed to men who usually look better with age. Women age like milk and men age like wine, you know, something like that. But if you are a young man in America, a millennial, and you're looking for a high quality yet attractive woman, you're going to have to look older, and you're usually going to have to date single moms, because they are the only ones who have had a wake-up call, in the sense that it's not all about them anymore. They have this child in their life that is now the priority. They have to be selfless. They have to be nurturing. They have to take care of this thing, which of course requires them to be feminine. That is, of course, if they don't just throw the child in daycare so that they can work their full-time job and pursue their worthless degree. But on top of all of these issues, even if you do find a unicorn, or you find a nice single mom, or you find an attractive feminine woman who's not completely crazy, it's easier than ever now than it ever has been in human history to cheat on your significant other. Dating apps, social media, you know, you name it, okay? And the millennials in particular, compared with any other generation, need and require attention like oxygen, especially females. Especially female nature compared to male nature. Females require attention. It is as vital to them as food or water or oxygen. So if you want to be, if you think you can just trust your significant other to not cheat on you in the modern day, well, the likelihood of that happening is higher than ever, higher than it's ever been. This is a problem that has no solution really, and things are only going to get worse in America unless you are fully aware of everything that I just talked about and you keep yourself informed and educated about these things. You will not see a change in America when it comes to dating, marriage, relationships, families, having kids. It is in the decline. It is going to continue to be in the decline until the gender roles go back to more what they used to be. So anyways, that is it for this episode of Big Fat Lies That You're Falling For. If there was any information in this video that you did like, or if there's something in this video that you disagree with or has made you angry, just leave a comment down below, give it a like or a dislike. Both help me out. And subscribe if you want to see more of these kinds of videos. I want to ask that if you did like this video, that you do share it around on social media and get my videos and get my message out there. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.